family don't drink and drive.
And Kaylee Odell is joining us tonight from St. John. Kaylee, that is an amazing video.
Thank you.
Understandably, it took a long time for you to be able to talk about what happened to you and your family, but why did you decide that you wanted to talk about it now and make this video now?
Well, I was approached and asked if I'd make the video, and I decided it was time I started sharing my story, because I knew it could change people's opinion, and that's what we're trying to do. So
I'm sure a lot of people who are watching us now are wondering where you find the strength to talk about something so terrible that happened to you.
I just, even when I get burnt out, I just think of my parents and, you know, what they would have wanted me to do, and I just know that they'd want me to keep fighting and not give up and let them win.
What would you like us to know about your parents?
There's so much I wish everybody could know about them. They were such fantastic people. Like, Mom was the kind of person that could make you smile even if you wanted to cry, and Dad was so strong that you never felt scared.
And how are you and your brother doing now?
It's hard. It's always going to be a fight, a struggle to get through every day, but we just do the best we can and stay as active as we can and see what we can do to change people's opinion. And
you say in the video that you feel as though your childhood was taken away from you.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with that? How do you carry on?
I have some really good friends. That's pretty much the only way.
And of course your grandparents who are there with you, I know they're off camera.
Yeah, and my grandparents, and my little brother. Just being alive makes it so much easier, because I came so close to losing him. It was terrifying.
You must be very, very close now.
Jeremy and I, we have our moments.
Like all brothers and sisters.
Like all brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Kaylee, the man who was driving the car is already out of jail. How do you feel about that?
At first I was really, really angry. I didn't understand how he could possibly have served long enough to justify letting him out. And, you know, I realized he would have gotten out 2 years from now anyway, and it's not going to make a difference. He's going to get out. Just staying angry about it isn't going to do anything. It just means I have to fight harder.
So how do you feel about the drinking and driving laws and the penalties for people who drink and drive?
The laws aren't anywhere near strong enough. There should be so many more restrictions and so many more precautions taken, and they're just, I don't think they're good enough.
And you'd like longer prison sentences as well?
Yes, much longer.
I know that in addition to making this amazing video for MAD, you've also been speaking to young people, particularly young people, about drinking and driving. And as you know, sadly, a lot of young people do drink and drive or get in cars with people who've been drinking and driving. What is the message you give young people about drinking and driving?
I just want them to know it's not something that happens to older people. It's not something that could happen just on the other side of the world to another person. It can happen to you, and a lot of people, they don't think about it like that. They just think it's something older people come and tell us about, just like stories you hear. Like, you hear of people who've been through terrible things, and normally they're a lot older, and when somebody your own age comes in and talks about it, it just kind of sets things to a new perspective, and you kind of think, wow, it can happen to me. And that's what I want them to...
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. And it's just kind of what I want them to realize, is that every time they get in a car and they're intoxicated, or they get in a car with someone who is intoxicated, they are putting their own lives at risk, and they are putting someone else's life.
Very unselfishly, too, I've heard you say that you wouldn't want anything to happen to anyone else like what has happened to you and your brother.
I really don't. People don't seem to realize how hard it is just to get out of bed in the morning once you've realized that everything's different. You have to find an entirely new kind of normal. You have to move on and live, but you can't move on because they were a big part of your life. I don't want anyone else to have to go through it.
Finally, what do you want people who are watching us tonight to take away from your video and from your own story?
I want people just to smarten up and learn that drinking and driving isn't right. It isn't, I don't even know how to describe it. It's not something that should even be happening. It's common sense. You should know not to get in a car when you're not fully alert.
Do you have any final message for the man who was behind the wheel that night?
I don't know. I never really thought about it. I guess I just want to do everything I can to make sure nobody else goes through what I've had to go through because of him. And I want him to know that everything I do is because he ruined everything, and that he's never going to hear the end of it.
Well, Kaylee, you and your brother are a couple of very amazing people, and you have very unselfishly used your own experience and your own sad story to help educate others. And I want to thank you very much for doing that, and also for talking to us tonight.
Thank you.
And I know, by the way, that you're on your way to your variety show to KV. So we wish you well with that tonight.
Thank you.
Kaylee O'Dell joining us tonight from St. John. And we'll be back with more as CTV News continues.